Jared Goff gets a massive contract extension, 4 years, $212 million. He's now going to be the highest paid player in Lions franchise history. This deal comes after they locked up their wide receiver, St. Brown, and offensive tackle, Sewell. Are the Lions now going for it here? Clearly. But are they going to be able to do it?
I think this is the best team in the NFC. I think they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender as long as Dan Campbell is at the head of the helm. I think the direction of where they're going compared to where they've been, it's only a matter of time before it pays off. They're dangerous. They play a gritty style of football on the defensive side. Offensively, there was a reason why they had no problem letting go of Swift and Jamal Williams because Gibbs is just as good. Amon St. Brown might be one of the top 5 receivers in the league and being able to go up and get a football. And you upgraded Stafford for Goff. It wasn't a loss for the Rams because they won their Super Bowl, but Goff has gone there and has put up monstrous numbers for a guy that many thought was on the tail end of his career. And I think a lot of credit to that is the offensive coordinator there, Ben
Lovejoy.
No. Is that who it is?
Thought so. Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson. A lot of credit goes to their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. That was a highly coveted assistant coach this year to take head coaching jobs, including for the Washington Commanders. But he turned down every single one because he wanted to see this through. Their coaching staff is legit. Their head coach is legit. And the product on the field, now they have the support of Motown. It's dangerous in Detroit right now. I don't mean that on the streets. I mean that in football. Which is also dangerous in the streets.
It probably is, yeah. No, for all intents and purposes, they should have been in the Super Bowl last year. Like, they you mentioned, they play an aggressive style of football. You know exactly what you're going to get out of Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. And it almost hurt them to a fault there because they were so aggressive. It kind of, at that time, it didn't call for that in the championship game. Love what they're doing. I think this is I don't want to say a great signing because I think it's just so much money. I still think I need to get my head around how much the cap has increased and how much money is just getting thrown out there. But like they're talking about Dak Prescott next year making $60 million. So if you lock up Goff, I don't have his Goff stats in front of me, but you're right, Houdini. He's been very, very good in that system. They want to run the ball, and he's great at play action. Amon-Ra St. Brown's legit. Gibbs is legit. Sam Laporta, they absolutely hit on that as a first-round pick last year. He's the next, the best tight end we've seen since Gronk. Like, I know Kelsey's great, but Kelsey's more of a wideout. Laporta actually blocks. It's between them and the Eagles. I know the Eagles were disappointing last year, but if you just look at talent on the roster, I've never been a big believer in San Francisco. So I think it's between them and the Eagles, early favorites for the Super Bowl out of the NFC.
Yeah, Jared Goff obviously deserves this contract. I think he played up to willing to deserve this for what he's done for that franchise. But how does this Jared Goff's extension affect the free agent market for other quarterbacks currently and in the future?
Well, Deepaul, you kind of touched on that before with Dak. I think you're at a point in the NFL where there's not really top-tier quarterbacks. There's a lot of second-tier quarterbacks. So would you rather pay a guy that's been in the league for 4, 5, 6 years that's having a decent career, or would you rather draft one? I'd rather pay one that's been doing it. And you're the only team in the world that doesn't have that philosophy is the Atlanta Falcons. So every other team has that kind of same philosophy unless you're in the lottery and you desperately need a quarterback now. So I do think it inflates the quarterback market. Like DePaul said, I want to see how much that the salary cap increases. I want to see what Dak gets paid. If Dak gets like $60 million a year, then now I'm really concerned for the contracts that are coming up for guys like, I don't know, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, all those guys.
Yeah, so I got the contract list up right here. So Joe Burrow is the most in average per year, 55 mil. Goff comes in at second at 53. Then you got rounding out the top 5, Justin Herbert at 52.5, Lamar Jackson 52, and Jalen Hurts 51. All of those were signed within the past 3 years. So like they're setting that market you start to look down. The next one, it was Kyler at 46. So there was that big gap once you hit 50. And look how quickly, we're going to be passing, 55 going into 60 now. And when you look at Goff's numbers, man, like career numbers, he's 66, 50, and 1. Okay, a little bit, 16 games above 500. He's got a 93.6 quarterback rating, 185 to 82 touchdown to interception. That's decent numbers. I don't know if it quite warrants 53, but I think it's kind of a show of appreciation. He was just kind of an afterthought in the Stafford trade. Just ship him out to Detroit. Nobody thought he was going to be anything better than what he was in LA, and he absolutely turned that on its head. So good for Jared Goff, man.
Yeah, I mean, but also, what have you done for me lately? He's a 68% completion percentage last year, 34 touchdowns to 12 picks last year, including the postseason. Had a QB rating of a 103 in the postseason, and got a lot of credit for how that offense flowed. Do I think he's worth that type of money? I don't know, but I'm really happy for him because for a guy that was embraced in LA and then traded for Stafford, LA wins the Super Bowl, booted out. Yep. Hey, you're going to Detroit, which at the time was like, what?
Yeah, yep.
It's like being traded to Oakland, you know what I mean, to play baseball.
And you know what's great about this contract too? Big ups, 170 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
$170. Wow.
Yeah. Hopefully Ipe doesn't get a hold of him.